Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to the first of a different kind of show-off show. Normally, the little guy and I would show you all of the things we had done over the course of the last month. Unfortunately, we didn't do a whole lot. I put together a lot of models. I primered them. I gave them a zenithal highlighting, and I'm working on, well, the two of us are actually working on two separate crafts. Obviously, they're not done yet because we just started it the week before last. We've done some work on it, but we don't have our usual like 4 different crafts. You know, things have been a lot different since the little guy's started high school, and he just started his second year of high school about 2 weeks ago. So we're still, getting into the swing of things and, getting everything together and getting our schedules taken care of. Plus, we've got another person living here with us, Jackie's longtime friend from, practically kindergarten, living with us now. So that's taken up a lot of time as well. But I wanted to give hey, Justin, what's happening? I wanted to invite all of our hobby friends out there, those painters and crafters and model builders and what have you, to come in tonight and show off what you've been doing, and hopefully show us what you're going to do over the course of the next couple of weeks, and try to make a little bit of a regular thing out of this to go along with my put up or shut up video. It's time we all did some of that. Let's show everybody out there what we're capable of when it comes to the hobby craft. This is not so much a role-playing game, add on. I mean, if you use terrain and miniatures and all that for your role-playing games, that's fantastic. Personally, I really don't actually do a lot of that. When I do any role-playing, I prefer theater of the mind, but every once in a while it is fun to break out the Dungeons and Lasers and build a big old dungeon and run the players through something like that, or set up a nice battlefield, or just use the thousands of miniatures that are in my collection. But like I said, for the most part, I tend to just do theater of the mind. I do, however, do a lot of Shadows of Brimstone, which is a cooperative board game. You've heard me go on and on about that. That's actually what I'm working on right now. I've got another little over 100 more models to put together, and I was getting a little burnt on putting them together, and I can do my primering and zenithal in this heat, but for the most part it's pretty dang hot. We had a little bit of a storm a while ago, and that cooled things off, but not enough to really get into painting. And right now, since I'm really big on the Army Painter speed paints, they don't really work too well with wet palette. From what I've experienced, it tends to water them down a little more than I want. Hey, Warmut. Hey, Justin. And hey, Crafting. Welcome to the show. If you guys want to pop in, the link's up there a little bit and show off what you've been working on or what you're going to be working on. I'd love to see it and love to help inspire our friends out there who've been going through any kind of a slump or, just not in the mood. There's no reason not to, put away or set aside an hour or more a day if you can spare it. I know some people out there, like our friend Bo. He's his schedule is pretty damn tight, and he's lucky to get the time that he has with us to craft or to paint or to assemble something and just gel out, zone out, enjoy the hobby, and let all the other stuff just slip away. There's been a lot of BS drama that I really don't want any part of. Sometimes I get dragged into it. Sometimes it's real easy to pile on, as it were, or go after somebody. And we've tried our best to get away from that, and so far we've done okay. There have been a few people that have rubbed us the wrong way, and we're not going to just take it lying down. So we're guilty as almost everybody of contributing to the overall drama. But tonight we're not going to have any of that. The slump or mood description is this guy right here. Dude, if we can help inspire you to greatness and do something, at your hobby station, your dinner table, wherever you get your jobs, your crafting or your modeling or your painting done. There's sometimes there's nothing more relaxing. I remember, growing up as a little guy, I would do this sort of thing with my old man, and we'd put together, military aircraft and tanks and things like that. He wasn't so much into the sci-fi stuff, even though he really did push me toward that with watching some great movies, Silent Running, Soylent Green, Rollerball, Planet of the Apes, all the classic 70s sci-fi. And that really, got me more and more into that as opposed to the historicals, which is something my son is getting more and more into. What's happening, Nathan? Hey, Nathan, this might be right up your alley. You're I'm not sure Shadwell and the Royal We. I mean, I know what the first part is, and but the Royal We, not sure what that is. But hey, Nathan, we haven't seen you around the hobby bench, the hobby table, doing your usual bang up job with the action figures and stuff like that. I don't know if you ever saw my craft challenge. When we did the Final Faction challenge many moons ago. I don't know if you saw what I actually did, but since you're here, I forget the guy's name, but I took this dinosaur and painted him up. Rawr, gave him a little bit of armor here and there, and made a saddle, and then took, I think this is Diabol or something like that. But I gave him a spiffy new paint job with some neon, some metallics, added a little bit here and there, and I gave him a friendly neighborhood dinosaur to go after the Final Faction crew in. Gave him a nice chain harness for the saddle. It keeps falling off. It's a dollar action figure, folks. So what are you gonna do, right? Oh, well, when I use we, it's I'm actually including Jackie in the mix because sometimes he gets offended if I don't mention him. To be honest, folks, this whole channel was his idea, and I wouldn't have even done this. I would have just done my hobby in silence and solitude for decades to come. But it was his idea to make a channel. And then I got him. I found this sword actually at a swap meet, and well, he might be watching. He might watch later. But there you go. My Final Faction craft challenge for I forget how it's been like what 6 months, Nathan, since we did this. Personally, I think you won the prize with your creation, but just something to goof around with, to get our other friend into it. That would be Sage Forsaken. He was feeling a little down, and I was like, you know what? Let's drag him into our little circle of friends and do something together. We've done craft challenges with other folks. I think it was Armstrong from Mad Eye Miniatures. We did a couple with him, and his birthday's coming up in October, actually Halloween. So we've got to do another one with him. You know what? You want to grab the link and show it off. You're more than welcome to come on in. Anybody else who wants to come in, and all I ask is that you have some sort of miniature or gaming or crafting. If you're making birdhouses, feel free to show them off. But if you want to come in, just have something to show off so everybody can see what you're up to. Maybe get inspired. I'm hoping Cal will see this and want to join in. And while I do that, I am working on. Hey, Raven, how you doing? What are you crafting these days? Besides, well, never mind. Um, I got these sort of monolith looking things for Shadows of Brimstone. They fire off beams of energy at your character party as they're exploring. They come from the world of Targa, and they don't really move around, but they just sit there, and they've got this glowy ball thing going on in the center, which I haven't worked on. But I've got this stuff that I really like to play with every once in a while from Citadel Miniatures. Uh, can't really see, but it's called Valhalla and Blizzard, and it's a snow effect. It's basically like cottage cheese, basically. I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of a putty or something, and I'm gonna slap some on these monoliths because Targa is a snowy world, ancient world of strange monsters and robots. It's like an ancient alien world that was at the height of its civilization, and then something horrible happened, and it froze over. So the party, when they're exploring it, come across, obviously bitter cold and snow, but they also come across all kinds of robots, like this guy I'm working on right here. Got two lower arms for grabbing and two oversized, crazy ass weapons for blasting. I really like the way they did the head, though. It kind of has that sort of General Grievous look to it. And I'm just going to do this guy in silvers, but I'm waiting to get some of the Army Painter speed paint metallics so that it can do a lot of the work for me, and give it a sort of a test run with the metallics. I could have bought them a while ago, but I would have only got, on my budget, I would have only got one version of silver, and I really want to try out all the silvers and all the other. I might throw some other metallic colors on it, but not really a lot. And I just want to, do it right. So like here with this thing, I'm gonna just apply some snow effect, make it look like it's, been out in a blizzard somewhere. And I really like this stuff. There's other things I've tried that aren't bad, but this stuff is really easy. It lasts in in the bottle. I mean, not it doesn't dry up fast. It doesn't get ruined. A lot of other stuff I've used, you need to use it real fast. Another thing about this stuff I like is that it doesn't start to yellow easily like baking soda and some things like that. Oh, you've tried the silver and the hoplite gold? I can't wait to get the whole set, and I found a place to get it for almost $100 off the price of the complete set, but that's still a couple $100 that I just, I backed a couple of Kickstarters last month, and I had some stuff in, you know uh, some expenses in July that were more than I expected, so I just couldn't back it yet. I mean, I couldn't make the purchase of the Army Painter complete set. There was another set that's almost complete, but it only gave you 3 colors of metal, and that's it's there's the only other way to get the metals was to buy a set of the metal uh, speed paints, and that's like $50 for the 10 metallics, and I know I'm going to need all of them eventually, and I figured I'll just wait, put it off. Besides, July and August and even part of September are going to be blazing hot here, so I figured I'll just wait a little bit until I can pull the trigger, get the whole set, and go back to full scale, full speed painting. Yeah, that's the route I took. The Mega Speed Paint set. Yeah, it's you know normally the bottles are like $5 a piece, and the deal I'm going to get will net me the 90 complete set speed paint bottles for about $250. It comes with a couple of brushes and a palette. Whoop de doo. Hey, there's Owen. I'm gonna bring him in. $5 says he's not painting anything though, but it's Omen, and I haven't seen him in like 2 weeks. So
Well,
what's happening,
so
man?
however we're going, I'm doing pretty well, after driving 750 miles. So
Yeah, how was that? Did you have fun with the boy?
yeah. I left him though. You know,
I
no, he's
had fun, but I left him on the side of the road.
well. I left him with his grandparents for another 4 weeks. So um,
Oh wow. Well, I know you're going to miss him like crazy during this time. But
well, yeah. His mom like, could you return him? She'll
his mom what?
He said his mom misses him too, but as soon as he comes back after a couple weeks, like, can you return him? No,
Right, right.
no, he's a good kid. He's just he's at that age where he wants to fight with everybody. So uh,
I'm glad Jackie's not like that yet. I'm sure he'll get there eventually. But he's never really been like that. Very, non-confrontational, except on YouTube, I guess.
well, it does the similar things, but no, my son's pretty good. I can't complain. But no, speaking of painting, like you're doing there, not that I've done any here, but I saw my friend yesterday who is kind of addicted to Kickstarters. And when I mean addicted, he has over 400 back games. So I went over to his house, and probably a good third of them still have the shrink wrap around them. But just for
Wow.
you, the Shadows of Brimstone were painted by his friends, and so he at
I'm
least
telling
opened
you,
those
man,
up.
that is such a fun game. Whether you play it solo or with a group or a couple of folks, it is one of the most perfect board game, dungeon crawl games that are out there. It's got so many great expansions. If you want to stick to the Wild West, awesome. You want to do some, ninjas and samurai, it's got you covered. If you want to do some sci-fi, not a problem. And obviously, you start out usually in the Old West, my favorite genre. And I just backed the last one, which had a big, huge ancient Egyptian themed expansion with a couple other expansions. Well, it's actually like a standalone game where you play like characters from like the Mummy exploring the ancient tombs and things like that. And there's male and female characters of each of the professions. And then the other expansion was the Hell Train, which is a 1800s steam locomotive that can be a source of adventure missions where you're stopping train robberies and things like that. Living here near Knott's Berry Farm, the train ride was always one of those things that we would always do, and somewhere along the trip, the bandits would come on shooting and trying to pretend to rob you and stuff, and it's got that aspect as well as some undead that roam throughout the cars of it because it's in this sort of Deadlands West scenario. But then you can flip the game tile floors over of the train, and it's the Hell Train that actually goes into like the Rift, like 40K sort of
Yeah.
interdimensional thing going on, and it's all spookily painted, and then there's ghosts of former passengers and all kinds of stuff that you can do battle with. And the original Ghost Train was supposed to be something from the very first Kickstarter, and this is the fourth, I believe, the fourth Kickstarter in 10 years, and it took me 4 years to finally get it, the one that I'm working on. And they
Mm-hmm.
said that the next one, yeah, 4 years, and they said the next one will be out in 2 years. I'm not going to sit on a hot stove waiting, especially with the lockdowns coming, which will mean eventually China will, halt all production on anything, that us gamers want, because they're, assholes. And, I've never been disappointed with a Kickstarter from Flying Frog Productions, except for the time. And, we all know a Kickstarter can really take, oh my goodness, what do we got here? Oh, I know what this is. Is this Kingdom Death
Yeah.
Monster?
Yeah, it only took 6 years. You know, it's only like what 5 years later, something. So,
Holy smoke!
but well, look, I backed it in 2016, and he said, "Look, it'll be coming out in like 2019." And so I did get it. So I got to give him credit. This thing is, what was the kilograms? For some reason, I think it was like 23 kilograms, something like that. Anyway,
So are you much of a modeler, painter guy, or not so much?
I have a lot of stuff. To be fair, I usually when I started painting, I started doing it right before everything, and then realized, oh, I gotta leave, you know, and so I put it up. And no, I have an airbrush which I need to clean. I have a really good, which I want a quiet one. A lot of people like, you know, they're happy getting loud, but like, I'll just spend the money. To be fair, so I got an Iwata.
That's what I have.
Well, I got an Iwata pump that has the dual in there, and you know, it goes from 0 to what is it, 80 psi or something like that. It's the kind that a lot of nail salons use. But I can get 2 airbrushes, so I can put in 2 different needles, which is nice, and switch them up for different things. And I like the airbrush to base. I really do.
The airbrush what?
Airbrush to base the models.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I actually almost cleaned up my airbrush station. I've had an airbrush I bought like 2 years ago, and I bought it from Hobby Lobby, and I was going to teach the boy how to use it and myself how to use it. I had a really cheap Harbor Freight one that I used the heck out of it using like apple barrel. White, like,
I've done that too. Yeah.
And just because I used to sell, I mean, I still do, but I'd buy minis, strip them, and then reprime them and sell them for a pretty good price on eBay. And when it died, I kind of like, fine, I'm good. No more, you know, stripping and cleaning the damn airbrush. I spend more, you know, everybody will spend more time cleaning your airbrush than actually using the airbrush, or at least that's been my experience.
I mean, I'm mad because my friend used it and he took off the quick detach, and I don't know where they are. You know, the little accessories, which kind of bugged me because I liked it where it could just go pop pop, which was really cool. You know,
Hey, Derek. Hey, Mac.
Actually, to be fair, it does have it. It's at the other end, not on the airbrush itself. It's on the cable. I'm not sure if you can. It's actually still stretching, but you know, it's the cable that's connected to the pump. But yeah, I mean, I like airbrushes for that reason. When I see everyone do what they're doing and just how good they are, and they make it look so easy, and I'm just like, oh man. But you know, some of it is, it's just like whenever you use your normal plate. But honestly, if you can do the white, you know, you base it white, you probably put some ink or some shadow, and then you just put some highlights. It's good enough to put on the table, you know.
That's what I love about speed paints. You know, I can paint pretty good. I've done some things that are, you know, not Golden Demon or Crystal Brush or whatever the hell that crap is, you know. But, you know, I've had people come by and go, wow, that's pretty good. You know, usually people who don't speak English and don't know what the hell the hobby is. But what's up, Crafting? You got two screens popping up.
Yeah, my camera is terrible for showing off the miniatures. So to show off the miniatures that I painted, I am in Discord so I can bring up the pictures on that.
No, I mean the miniatures are really cool. You know, but the problem, like everything else, is
nice work, dude.
Is you know, no, I mean, like everything else is, boy, when you put the light on, it makes it look very harsh and washes it out sometimes. And, you know, it never does it justice.
Okay.
No, I don't think that's bad for you, but I mean, that's the problem with whenever people take pictures.
Right, there we go.
Yeah.
You know what? Don't take this the wrong way, but those were like some of my least favorite miniatures, the Centaurs that I sent you. But it's really nice to see somebody actually get into that, because I know a lot of people really like Centaurs in games and stuff like that. And I guess I'm a racist bigot, but I've just never been a fan of Centaurs. But those are really, really good.
You know what?
Mine over there. for you to paint.
I mean, you did nice colors for that. Between you and I, though, is I wish you had more of a backlight so it doesn't wash out as much.
Oh yeah, I'm still learning how to take pictures.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's true for all of us. It's one of those things that I hate it when people. Well, one thing I will admit though is you're taking a white light, which is nice. I hate it when people take it under that yellowish orange light. It always messes it up.
That's what I've got.
Well, I actually really liked. I really liked painting them.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at them less of I'm painting centaurs and I'm painting a lot of detail, and I really enjoyed that aspect of it. This guy ended up being my least favorite.
What I meant was I because I have a few other centaurs. I just never use them in my game. There's just, I kind of try to. I have a love-hate relationship with certain creatures from mythology. Like I love the centaur. I mean the Hydra. That's a great monster, or the Medusa. But I don't use things like satyrs and pixies and fairies and brownies and centaurs and things like that. I don't know why, because I started reading, mythology as a kid and, went through that period of my life, but don't, I guess that's the same with everybody. Some things don't take to us,
Yeah, I'd have to say after painting. Sorry.
The 40K stuff I think did pretty good. And how they do theirs for their models for the centaurs. I think they look nice.
I'd have to say after painting, this was my least favorite, not because of the sculpt, but because I didn't have a nice, what I call a horse red, so he ended up being glowy red. So no, he's not pink, but he's
Hey, Dungeon Minister, how's it going? Welcome to the show.
Not a good. He looks like he just took a blood bath and made just horse part red. To me, so I put a black streak on his back and hope to cut that out a little bit. And it
I mean, I hate telling you from your picture, it looks pink to me, whether you like it or not.
Okay, well, I'm not surprised about that.
Well, actually, you know what though?
I'm not a fan, Raven. Not a fan of using them in my games. Sorry.
You know what? It's one of those is I wouldn't mind. The problem in many cases is I have to like the sculpts for everything else, and if they're not, if I don't like the sculpt, and the problem that you have with many times is if you're doing something and you do true scale, it looks so the limbs are so tiny that it's hardly ever anyone there. And then if you do the exaggerated scale, which is what 40K does a lot of times, it just looks off if you get really close on the faces. And like everyone needs to wear helmets, that way I don't have to mess with it.
Kind of like you remember Pinhead the Barbarian?
Oh, I've heard about that.
Yeah, I have it somewhere. It's this giant barbarian with a tiny little head. I mean, the sculpt and the face is fine. Does anybody remember the Nintendo Ghouls and Goblins? I remember it, but it was just one of those games I never really played. I think we had it. I
don't think I was allowed to play it because it wasn't. Get this, I was allowed to watch Alien and Predator movies at 6 and 8 years old, but a game like Ghouls and Goblins, no.
Oh, really? You know what? I'm going to bring up something I think is funny. So I bought some just to bring this up because I checked my mail after 2 weeks. Someone's offering me 50% more than what I paid for my land last year. That's nuts. I don't think it's worth it. I mean, but that's how much things have gone up here in Texas. It's
people have been after my mother's property since my grandmother died, offering her not ridiculous enough to sell, but pretty ridiculous amounts of money.
Well, the problem I have with it is I could sell it and not get anything back. That's what's coming down to. But I have 35 acres, and this person's offering me almost $500,000. And before,
don't sell. Don't sell. That's not worth it for 30.
No. I'm laughing because, I get these offers before, and they were saying, "We'll offer you $7,000 or $8,000 an acre," and I'm like, I paid more for that, Anyway, so I was laughing at them. But that just tells me how desperate they are to buy right now because they must. Yeah. I'm like, my property isn't even that great. I mean, it's good for farmland, but it's not good enough. It's not good enough farmland to justify that price, Anyway, so what they want to do with it is they want to turn that into a subdivision or solar panels. And I'm like, no offense, I don't like them. I don't mind the idea of solar panels. I just don't like seeing 12 to 1,800 acres of solar panels out there.
Mhm. Especially when
anyway,
they don't really, when you know how much it costs to make them and the overall impact, yeah.
Again, I don't have anything against a lot of this stuff. The problem that I hate is that they're turning really good farmland into solar panels. And I'm not blaming people for accepting it because it's lease, but like when the lease is gone, then what happens? If these companies go bankrupt, who's going to take care of all that waste? But I'm not against them. I just think the problem is that they put them in the wrong places and they don't use the best use of the land for what it should be used for. And that's what gets me mad.
Which is farming.
Yeah.
Dean Powell, tonight what we're doing is we're inviting folks to come in and show us what's on their crafting hobby table, painting miniatures. I want to see what you guys have done over the past couple of weeks, and or what you're going to be doing in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to do one of these shows on Sunday every couple of weeks or so, just to get people to, break out the paintbrushes, get their hands covered in super glue or model glue, and just put the stuff together. If you're a miniature guy or a terrain guy or a war gamer and you use this sort of stuff, bring it out. Show us what you got. Show us what you're gonna do. Let's talk more of the hobby and instead of some of the other drama that's been going on the past forever. That folks like us, we're kind of sick of it. We didn't come here to get into that. We did come here to meet some cool folks and game occasionally, but to learn stuff, learn new techniques on painting and crafting, and come up with ideas. Like I'm working on this piece of terrain right here. It's going to, let me put the doors in. It's basically the entrance to a tomb of lizard kings. And let me get the doors in there. Where's the no? So your players come up to this hill, and there's these monolithic looking rocks, and then some engraved door. It's supposed to be the Ouroboros snake leading down into the tomb of the Serpent Kings. And then I have another alternate version of the same piece of terrain that I made two because one I couldn't decide on which version I wanted, and I'm going to be giving one of these to GM Fritz over on GM's Alcove.
Which I think is awesome that you do that.
And it's also got a couple of doors.
Oh, Shadow,
and
do you have the... Sorry, I'll let you finish.
It's all made out of the pink XPS foam, which is God's gift to crafters, the greatest stuff you could ever get to work with. And I've got a little clay snake head that I'm working on to put on right over the doorway. And it's just fun stuff to I don't know, it kind of takes me back to some of my arts and crafts classes growing up as a kid, and get to do this stuff with Jackie, because they don't have classes like that anymore. They don't get to play with clay or construction paper or any of that stuff for most of his life. All of that experience came from helping me with the channel or working on stuff for our games and what have you. And it just seems like a shame that not nobody, but very few people do this sort of thing anymore.
Shadow, do you have easy access to the Earth Golem from the creature set you sent me?
The Earth Golem.
I think it's an Earth Golem. It's the creature that's made of mud that has all the swords and weapons sticking out of it.
Oh, yeah. Give me just a second.
Okay. Because my camera is good enough to show off the color, but not show off the design, and I want people to see kind of what I'm planning for the next miniature I want to make and paint.
Yeah, I got it right
here. People see my dirty shed before. Ooh, what's that? Looks big and scary. I like it.
Okay.
I think you're muted, Omen. Either that or you're too far from your mic.
You know what? It helps if I don't put mute on there. That's
Ooh,
cool.
you even got the kind of a similar color scheme to what I'm thinking.
I'll tell you this much: when I was painting for stuff, one of my favorite things to do for Tyranids was to use. If you've ever seen scarabs with their beetles and they have the weird. If anyone ever seen dung beetles in real life and have that weird iridescence on them.
Yep, I would use neon poster paints for that.
Well, what I did is I usually used a gold base coat, and then I would paint on top of it, and that
worked. That's what we did with. We were trying to get an Iron Man sort of red, and we started with gold, and then used a red contrast. Or this is a Queen of the Mushroom People.
Anyway, I got distracted by the golem. What I was going to say was the inside of the golem, before I'm putting him together, I purposely painted gold inside his mouth.
Oh, cool.
And I'm going to put gold on the outside of it after I get done spray painting him. I just got to tape it up first so it doesn't spray paint over the gold. And to basically make him a treasure lure for greedy adventurers.
You know what? I think that's a really cool thing. You know, and I have to agree with Elfbait on some of this, which is, well,
I'm kind of proud of.
Oh, yeah, that looks awesome.
Is when Elfbait was talking about sometimes when you use miniatures that it actually takes you out of the immersion, which I agree sometimes. But man, I do love wargaming, and I love seeing the war games in that whole aspect. This
is sort of a naiad or a dryad tree lady built into the tree. This is a lot of fun. Just to experiment with different colors of green. Which, if anybody knows me, green is my least favorite color, and yet I paint more things green than any other color in the spectrums.
Well, you know why, though? Because you live in a desert, so green is not something you normally see. No,
that's only the last 12 years. Prior to that, I lived in Orange County, and there's plenty green there. And I've lived in Virginia, and I've been through Tennessee, which is just absolutely gorgeous. If you like, pristine, woodlands, or at least it was when I went through there. I don't know what it's like now. I guess Nathan would have to tell me, but if you've ever watched Nathan's channel, he seems to be surrounded by a lot of greenery. But yeah, Jackie always gives me a hard time. It's like, why do you paint everything green if you don't like it? I'm like, because those are usually the colors it should be, the thing that I'm painting, whether it be goblins or tree folk or, reptiles and that sort of thing. It's just how it turns out.
Well, my issue with green comes from the fact that as I'm a very color coordinated person, not like it's easy for me to color coordinate, but when I try to do something like my leather work, I try to do at least somewhat color coordinated. And one spot of the wrong shade of green makes the whole thing look like someone just barfed up a bunch of multicolors, and it doesn't look good. I know that sounds odd because that's kind of what you're supposed to do, but it really does work that way.
Get yourself one of these or a better one, a color wheel, and learn it. And it's
Shadow, if you bring up everyone's screen again.
Oh, sorry.
That's
good.
It's his show. He can show whoever he wants.
Hey. Sorry.
I know.
Oh, good for you. That's probably one of the. Oh, see, yeah, I'm too cheap.
This just literally came for free with a bunch of alcohol inks I got for less than $20 with an air compressor and an airbrush.
That is nice.
Got this at a thrift store.
I
was working there at the time, so I lucked out.
And everything worked? The airbrush worked?
Everything works. In fact, I think I need to not touch it till I do a little more research, because when I got it, the inside of it was absolutely pristine. I used it once and little chunks were left behind. It's like, okay, I'm not using it right.
Well, you know what? Some of that comes down to, there's a couple of things. One is you have to wash a lot. The other part is, and this is what I need to do for my airbrush, and I haven't done it. I've been lazy, maybe because I don't have a dedicated room for stuff. It's, like Shay was talking about, is using one of those sonic cleaners. And then you can put it in there.
I got one. I got one for Father's Day a couple of years ago, like 4 or 5 years ago, and it's noisy as hell. As a matter of fact, one of our first like 20 videos, Jackie and I did a demonstration, and all you can hear, you can barely hear our voice, but you can hear this zzz noise. It's just like one of our worst videos ever. But I wanted to show everybody the best way to clean a miniature is with a Sonic cleaner, a crap ton of LA's Awesome. And somebody taught me this neat trick a while ago. I wish I could remember who. But instead of actually putting the Sonic cleaner in the basin, pour it in a Ziploc bag, put the miniature in the Ziploc bag, and then put the Ziploc bag in the Sonic cleaner. That way the cleanup is like a lot easier, and you don't risk, trying to clean something that's an electronic device to begin with, because, and that way when you're done, you just take the bag and dispose of it properly. And LA's Awesome. Even if you don't have a Sonic cleaner, just get a glass jar, put a single miniature in it at a time, unless you know for sure they're made out of either the same plastic or the same metal. Because I made this really weird discovery. Check this out. I had a pile of miniatures, right? And I threw them in some LA's Awesome, and I'm scrubbing them, and I got most of the paint off, and I put them back in another time. And then I come back, and some of the miniatures were turning black. Because the LA's Awesome, some of them were turning black, and the other ones were like turning a weird gray. Because what was happening is the liquid was electroplating certain miniatures with other miniatures.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Okay? Because some of
Sounds
them were
like
pewter.
fun to play with if you meant to do it on purpose.
Right. Some of them were pewter, and some of them were lead. The lead was dissolving and transferring itself to the pewter.
Wow.
Yeah, so be very careful. If you're, make sure all the miniatures are from like the same company, the same metal, and even then, it's better if you do one at a time. I mean, unless you really absolutely have to do an army, a lot of them, do one at a time because the concentrated fluid works better on one. And then I like to rinse them off while I scrub them, under some pretty hot water and scrub them with electric toothbrush to get all that. But I mean, if you do it right, you can get it down to the bare metal, and it will literally look brand new, like you just got it from the factory. And trust me, having cleaned miniatures for 20 years professionally, literally I would buy them, strip them, and resell them. I've tried everything from Pine Sol, brake fluid, Simple Green. LA's Awesome is the best by far, and you can get it at Dollar Tree, Dollar General for a big old squirt bottle for $1.25, and it's really good to clean with as well. Just don't reuse it, because then you get lead or whatever toxic crap all over your kitchen counters. But Ultrasonic Discovery, nice. Hey, what's up, Chud?
Yeah, I actually first. Sorry, I'll just finish.
And then the Sonic cleaner is, for the most part, gentle enough to work on plastic miniatures. And then if you ever need to remove like something that's been super glued, like say you want to remove one of the old Slaughter bases, drop it in some nail polish remover, and it'll turn that super glue into basically like old rubber cement. You can peel it off nice and easy, and next thing you know, you're right back down to like the equivalent of a brand new miniature.
Yeah, I first heard about that technique from eBay Miniature Rescues. All he does, I mean, I love watching him because he talks a little bit about the hobby because he's obviously a hobbyist, but he also avoids everything political in the hobby. All he does is repaint miniatures. And it is awesome to watch because he doesn't just, this is a miniature I need to repaint, plop it in. He'll show you, well, this person did this, and I could see where he was trying to do this, or he just simply added too many layers of paint, and now he's lost some of the details, so he definitely did take that off. And I love watching that because I've actually learned more watching him than I have some other things, because he'll point out what they could have done better and how they were trying to go about, and how he would do the same exact thing. More than once, he's painted a miniature in the same exact style he got it in, just better, for lack of a better term.
Well,
awesome.
sometimes these people using really thick paints, like you talking about the Apple whatever.
Apple
Sometimes
Barrel.
those things are just so thick, and they don't have really good pigment anyway. So when you put them in there, they're either gloopy when you get it in, or it's one of those things that you're like, it works fine on some miniatures when they don't have a lot of fine detail, but man, when you get that really fine detail, use a better quality with finer grain.
Sure, but you know what? For decades, that's all I knew of, and that's all there was. And I learned early on to water them down, thin them out, and even sometimes add a flow aid or a flow improver to it, or even some matte medium and different things to get different effects. Some of the colors, especially the metallics in the craft paints, some of them are incredible. Some are literally better, at the very least better than Army Painter. I really can't say much with Vallejo or Reaper, just because I don't have a lot of metallics for them. I think for Vallejo, I've got about 7 different colors, and some of the Vallejo metallics I really don't like.
Oh, I have a very slight funny story. The night that I invited you on my stream, I was talking about the fact that I'm going to have to practice assemble some with super glue, and it's like I'm kind of daunted by the task. I actually had to I had to stop myself by the werewolf, because I went through and assembled all 3 centaurs and the werewolf with super glue. And like, wait a minute, I literally can and just ordered some good glue. Pace yourself and wait for the good glue. But I had to stop myself. I just wanted to keep going. It is so fun to assemble them, let alone the painting.
There's a lot of us in the community that actually prefer the assembly. We should find a way to hook some of those people up with the people who don't like to paint and the people who don't like to assemble, so they could do stuff for each other. I'll put your stuff together, but you paint mine, and vice versa kind of thing. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, because if you can't do it, a mediocre job is better than none at all, or better than a really bad paint job. But I love both aspects of it. I will admit I like the assembly more. I'm a Lego maniac from way back, so putting stuff together and putting models together when I was a kid with my dad was just it was a lot of fun. And with some of these projects, it takes me back to those days, and I think about my old man and all the kits that we did, and Jackie's getting into it too. He really enjoys putting the stuff together too, but he's actually a pretty dang good painter, for only having done this, I would say 3 years, but he really hasn't painted consistently to call it 3 years. But some of the things he learned quick just blows me away. I still can't do fire to save my life.
Yeah, I know. I remember watching some of your. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
So I remember watching some. I went back and watched some of your old. Originally, I watched the box set, the video where you showed what came in the creatures box, and then that automatically led to some of your older videos that were also from Dungeons and Lasers. And I stumbled across you assembling the fire black dragon, or the lava black dragon. And I'm like, wow. Yep. That is so amazing, like the way you two work together to paint like that. Which brings me back to an old question. Does Jackie still wear glasses to paint, or has he grown out of that?
60-40. Depends. He hasn't really done much painting in the last year because of
I got to use my bifocals when I paint.
Yeah, I bought some cheap readers from the dollar store. They're like 3.25 times, whatever. But I've got some electronics goggles and things like that, that light up and things like that. And I just can't get into wearing them. I know Fritz, he likes wearing his, but I'd rather just put these on. That way I can, I don't get so hot and sweaty while I'm working. And, I don't know, these work fine for me for some stuff. If it's like a really detailed face or something, I will break out the light up goggles, but I'm trying to use them as little as possible, just so that I, can get as much use out of my eyes regularly as possible, and because I know eventually I'll probably need glasses for reading, writing, and walking, for everything. But right now, uh, for $1.25, these work. You can go to. I got these ones are really really good. For I paid like $20 for these. They've got a light.
Yeah.
They've got several different lenses. So you've got 3 different options. There's this lens, and then there's a lens back here, so you can really get up close. Hell, I've even got a microscope for my 15 millimeters miniatures and 10 mils, but I haven't, had the bug up my, keister to want to do any of the 10s and 15s since last year. I did a bunch of them. I knocked like 90% of them out. So I'm like, well, do I want to buy any more? We'll see. With the new Epic coming out, I'll probably break it out. But for now, I've got too many 28s to bang through.
Yeah, I don't got anything quite as fancy as your headlamp, as your magnifying headlamp. All I got is a headlamp and my glasses, and that seems to be good enough for now.
For $20.
No, sorry.
For $20, it's not bad, but you could also go. Here, let me show you this. There's this other one. I got this one from Harbor Freight, and it's also got lights on either side, but the batteries are dead. But it's got this lens that comes.
Okay, that one belongs in some sort of futuristic mad scientist lab.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's they've been making this exact model for decades. This edition right here and the exact lens, but I think I paid $5 for this one at Harbor Freight.
Yeah,
and it's a couple of AA batteries or AAA batteries on either side, and it can light up
$5 even if
one
it
or
only
both
lasts.
sides.
Sorry, I was gonna say
No
for
worries.
$5, even if it only lasts a couple of months, it's totally worth it.
I've had that for years. Literally,
Nice.
it's as old as the channel, and Jackie likes that one actually better than the white one. But if that's what you need for a particular part of the miniature, or even if you need to use it every day, it's definitely something you should have in your collection. Believe it or not, the thought of using one of those didn't even occur to me for decades. It wasn't until about 5-8 years ago that somebody said, "Hey, you don't have one of these?" And I'm like, "What? Huh? I'm just using my eyeballs." Like, no, go get a magnifying glass. I'm like, "You need one of these?" He's like, no, a headset. Headset? Which is funny because my dad used to have a CB radio / gun shop, and we had a resident technician who did all the repairs for the CB radios, and he wore one of those every freaking day, and I saw him every day wearing it. I don't even know what color his eyes were. He's always had that thing on his head, and it didn't even occur to me. Just dumb stuff. You just don't put 2 and 2 together and realize, hey, I can use this. And since we started doing this channel, I've been finding all kinds of neat tricks for the hobby, and here's the place to share those with folks like you who are new to this particular aspect, because there's no reason not to share and converse with people, because I find that when I go to the shops, the hobby shops, half the people there, they don't even know the hobby. They're just running the cash register. They don't actually paint. They don't put models together. Maybe you can talk to the owner if he's not too busy, on the phone or doing whatever, But there's rarely anybody at the shops that actually know the hobby these days.
That's where I wish my local shop hadn't closed down. It was a co-ownership. One owner was a real heavy into RP gaming, like tabletop gaming of all kinds. The other one was more of a Magic gathering player, but he really, really loved making models. And I kind of wish the shop hadn't closed down, because I would love to talk to him now that I'm into model painting. Because, he had I'd say this thing was 1.5 to 2 foot tall dragon on a crystal stand. And I think he was selling it like it was a custom job, but it was ridiculously like one of those toys you buy from a custom toy maker look to it. It was
nice.
nuts.
The Mini Warmud says they only know 40K. I actually have a Games Workshop store about 2 blocks away, and those guys, they know the stuff, and they'll teach you a little bit, but they're usually, at my store, there's one guy working and only one guy working, so he rarely has time to talk much unless you get him at the right time, and then he'll suggest some crazy priced product or only their products, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna go over to Harbor Freight or Hobby Lobby or Michael's and look for the equivalent for 25% of the price, because it doesn't have your guys' logo or stamp of approval on it. I'm not buying into that. Some of their stuff, like I said, with this Valhalla and Blizzard, yeah, I'll keep buying this stuff forever. But like their brand of clippers or paintbrushes or whatever, nah, man. What kind of brushes do you use?
At this particular moment, I am using Warbrush minis, war paint brushes
Okay.
for their miniatures. But I've already discovered I need to actually spend money and invest in some slightly more expensive brushes, because these suckers are nice but not abusive capable. And I'm unfortunately very abusive of my brushes.
Me too. That's why I do. That's why I do buy a lot of the cheap brushes. As a matter of fact, I've got like 20 packs of the cheap brushes. Every time they're on sale, I'll grab another pack, even though I don't need them, just because of things like the lockdowns coming. But Army Painter makes this set of 3. I don't know where the other one is. They're called Masterclass dry brushes. And here, let me get a regular brush. One that doesn't look like crap. This is like a 0 or a 1 or something. But
yeah,
these brushes, they kind of look like makeup brushes, and a lot of people will tell you, makeup brushes are great for terrain, absolutely. But when you're doing like a larger miniature or something like that, now Artist Opus makes brushes almost identical to these for about $25 a piece, but you can get the set of 3, and the other one's much smaller for $20. I really, really like these a lot. Unfortunately, if you don't clean them just right, the glue starts to dissolve, and the whole ferrule will just come right off. Or worse, I had one where all the bristles just popped right out. But I'm not ready to spend $100 on 4 paintbrushes from Artist Opus yet. Maybe this Christmas or my next birthday, I'll treat myself. But
well, I didn't mean quite that expensive. Like a 25 for a single brush is expensive to me.
It really is. But these ones, they're I don't know if you can really tell how big they are. Just my finger. They're thick and but it's not just that. It's the shape of it, this sort of rounded,
Yeah, I tried some dry brushing earlier today, and I quickly learned dry brushing is not easy.
There's some tricks. Like what color are you working with on the dry brush?
At this particular moment, I was using white to try to get a brighter white on the edges of some of my miniatures. Because I was using the Zenithal technique.
One of the greatest tricks in the world I've learned for dry brushing. You know what this is?
Yeah. Looks like a piece of sandpaper.
No, it's like a brown napkin from like Jack in the Box, I think.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Instead of using a white napkin, trying to wipe off your white paint. You see where I'm going with that?
Okay, yeah.
So you wipe the paint off on a brown napkin or some other color, if that's what you got. If you got light blue or what have you. But I get these brown ones because we go to Jack in the Box all the freaking time. So I'll when you do your dry brushing and you're wiping it off, I will wipe it off on a brown one of these so I can see how much paint is being left behind.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You do use like a napkin or a paper towel, right?
Actually, I with a couple of this, because I bought a couple of different paint sets at different times for different reasons, I actually ended up with a couple of different easels. I think that's what they're called. Well, pallets, to the easy way.
Pallets. Okay, like the bumpy kind?
Yeah, my camera should be good enough to show you what I currently use. It's
Okay.
just I can't show you high detail. Here's one of these. I keep it very clean, though.
Okay,
After I'm done
well,
using it, I can wash it out.
you should probably watch our dry brushing video way back. Because what most people do is they dip their paint in the brush and then they wipe it off on the paper towel until just enough is coming off, is wiping off onto the napkin, so you can tell how much is being, applied when you actually use the brush. You could try to do that with with your easel. I also use these Pringles lids, and I'll dab it here to get some of the paint off, but then using a napkin to wipe off the paint, because no matter how much you wipe off, you're still going to have some paint in the brush until you actually clean the brush. But you can see when you wipe it on the napkin what's being left behind and how thick a streak of paint you're leaving behind, until you get to the point where you're like, yeah, that's how thin I want the paint on the miniature.
Yeah.
And so I use these so that I can actually see what I'm doing. If you try to do that with white paint on a white napkin or a white palette, you can't really get the same effect, that you can see. You won't actually be able to gauge how much paint is being left behind. And then you go to your miniature and you dry brush and it's all blue. Just you leave too much paint. And it's better to put like almost no paint on the miniature from dry brushing than to put too much. Because if you put too much, you almost have to strip it and start all over again. And by wiping off as much as you can and then slowly building up the dry brush versus trying to remove too much dry brush.
What kind of primer do you like to use?
Honestly, I use I think it's a Krylon paint and primer. It's like $5-6 a can from Walmart. It's one of the few paint and primers, and for the most part, I'm only using black or white. Sometimes I'll use the gray for a Zenithal, but it just the gray, I haven't found the right shade that I like. It's actually too dark. Hey, what's up, Grandma? But
I personally love. Oh, sorry, I'll let you finish.
No, I was just saying hi to Grandma.
Oh, okay. I personally love Behr flat paint and primer. This sucker, I am still learning to properly lay down spray paint to the point that if I had used just about any other spray paint, because I've used enough to know, I would have lost detail on the Centaurs because I would have laid it on too thick, because I'm still a novice at laying it down properly. And because this stuff just dries flat. It's so nice.
A couple of instead of
I do the whole part. My problem is that I tend to either overlap too much or not have the right angle as I'm spraying the first time around, and I have to come back for a second layer because I missed something.
Right.
There's my two
believe
big
it or not,
issues.
even though I bag on GW a lot, their primer, if you're working on something that you just absolutely want to do the best job you could possibly do, I will splurge on a $20 can of their primer, only in white, and be really, really, really careful with it. But I've only bought 2 cans of it, and there's only been 2 paint jobs that I needed it, needed to splurge on that. But you got to be careful, because I found out the hard way. Whatever paint you have, use it as quickly as you can in a spray can. Don't try to make it last or save it or anything like that. I had that can of GW paint, and I was trying to be really miserly with it, and then I came to a set of miniatures I wanted to paint and have them really turn out really awesome. And I went to go use it, and it was just crap. It was like spraying them with like cottage cheese and sand. It's just the paint job was just bumpy and just crap. So
Yeah.
Maybe write the date on when you get the paint with a Sharpie or some tape, and so you know when you got the paint, and use it up as opposed to trying to make it last. Unless you're like trying to stock up for the winter or something like that, or you get a windfall of money. Like, I'm gonna go out and buy like 6 cans of paint. Don't think they're gonna last for like a year sitting on a shelf, and definitely keep them indoors or somewhere in a cool, dry place. I made the mistake also of leaving some cans in my garage, going out to use them, and just crap.
Yeah, I am haven't learned that lesson the hard way, even though I should. I do know this. I bought cans before I knew better, a whole bunch of cans. So I've actually got close to 20 cans just sitting around my shed, and most of them are at least 2 years old, if not 3. The last time I used some of the cans, though, they were still working, surprisingly. So I know it's only a matter of time before I start running across cans, because I also got a bunch, like another probably 6 to 10 cans that were free. And some of those suckers, well, most of those suckers didn't work. And I'm pretty sure most of them were as old as me because of the labeling.
Huh.
So I'm not surprised those ones didn't work. But yeah, I actually have to go through all my
do
spray
live in
paint
the
here
desert.
to test it.
I do live in the desert, and the heat is I think far more detrimental to the paint than cold weather. What's up, old school Dave? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, I've actually sprayed in sub-zero temperatures before, and spray paint, at least the spray paints I use, don't seem to be too bothered by the cold temperature. So
really, because it gets pretty cold here too. Not like snowing or anything. Well, kind of snow sometimes. But what I'll do is I will either put the can, if it's really cold outside, I'll put the can in some warm water and warm it up, or I'll put it near the vents for the heater in the house. Not too close. Don't want them exploding, but leave them somewhere where they can warm up. And then I'll shake them up inside the house, run out, do some quick, and then run the can back into the house.
Yeah, I haven't had that problem, but I've heard it. But however, I have heard enough times since then. I know I was ridiculously lucky, and it's only going to be a matter of time, especially given how old my cans are, before I have some of these problems.
Right, and another good thing is to test. Do a test spray on your, I took some cardboard and made a paint station, and I'll just spray, a couple of times on the walls of the station to see if it's coming out chunky or it's splattering or anything like that. I need to find a way to be able to actually clean my rattle can caps, because everything I've tried, including the Sonic cleaner and rubbing alcohol and LA's Awesome and letting the caps soak, when they get clogged, I don't know what to do. I should probably talk to my friend James L. to see if he's got some advice on that, because he actually buys a lot of replacement caps for his rattle cans that do all kinds of like tricks, for like graffiti artists and stuff. They've got different caps, different techniques, and I'm like,
Amazon thought I wanted one of those sets one time. It's like, I appreciate the thought, but no.
Maybe you do. You just don't know it, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That's one, like, the slightly off subject. It's one of the things I hate about modern technology. You want this? No, I don't. But this is what we think you said, so it must be what you meant. It's like, fuck you.
Yeah. No thanks. I want what I want, and I want it now. Because I'm a Toys R Us kid. I changed the clogged caps with other spray paint cans that don't have clogged caps. Okay. I could try that.
It makes sense. And I do know.
Sorry, you got a phone call. I wasn't worried about it. Omen. I had a private message from Omen saying he got a phone call. I knew he'd be back, or will be back. And
I kind of figured it was
Dave is from Cedar Park, Texas. Well, old school Dave, there are a whole bunch of gamers that we know in the Texas area. One of these days you'll have to come into the show and show us what you're working on, and see how close you are to people like Weird World War II and Omen Owl, and see if you guys can't get into some sort of pickup game at a local game shop or something like that. Oh, okay, old school Dave. Take care. Nice for you to join the show.
Oh, that's what that said. It's so hard for me to read when everything is one word like that. I want to go Asakovade.
Yeah, no, it's
No,
old
that'd be
school Dave.
Diva. Yeah, I mean, no offense to him. It's just
Mhm.
I don't like
Yeah,
saying it repeatedly, but I have that reading disorder issue. So it's when people do that, it's very hard for me to read.
Yeah. So how many of the pieces have you made it through so far?
I'm getting the glue tomorrow, and I'm going to start making more, but just those first 4, because I would like. I don't want them all made with super glue. If
No,
there's a more
no, you don't.
permanent solution, I want that to be the solution I use.
I've used a ton of super glue on models, plastic and metal, etc. But I really like the liquid brush on model glue that just melts the stuff together. But everything has got a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm sure there are people out there that swear by super glue. Maybe because you can disassemble it should you want to. I've never wanted to disassemble a plastic model, but I've definitely needed and wanted to disassemble some metal miniatures. So there's that. Yeah. Did you look around on eBay or anything like that for
Yes, I did.
Hey, what's that, McConnell?
And I'd say not a bad price. Where the price really becomes a killer is when you look at the shipping, because at least half of all the ones that do have boxes online are from other countries.
Right. Well, you can always in the settings for your eBay, say only within, the continental United States to save on shipping.
Well, one of them isn't so bad. It's only $15 for shipping, and he's from Canada. Or was he the $20 one? The one from Canada wasn't bad, but that was the one that was literally $100 for the box, $100 for the shipping. It's like, you're never going to sell that, dude.
Right. There are a lot of people out there. Hold on, Connell. You better have something to show us that you're working on, finished, or getting ready to work on. No excuses. A lot of people got this dumb idea, especially when dealing with Archon Studios, that the stuff is never coming back, or that you'll never be able to get it again, that it's some sort of collector's item. And I'm here to tell you that is so not the case. Real quick, watching a possible thunderstorm moving in, and poof, it collapsed. So another day of no rain here in Gilbert, Arizona. Still 105 degrees here. Yeah, we had a bunch of that. Yep, we had a bunch of rain from the whoa, where'd Connell go? From the storm that came by. It was supposed to be all devastating, and then we got a little spoiled with the weather, and now it's back up into the 90s and 100s all next week. So I won't be doing much painting, except up here in the studio, and only with the craft paints on the terrain. I'm bringing Connell in. You better have something to show us, man.
I got nothing to show, but something to add.
Okay.
Would you find it by that Tarask?
No, I'm still waiting for Shadow to send me one. No. No. Me and my daughter went to a Goodwill today, and they had, remember that old game HeroClix?
HeroClix, yeah.
Well, the miniatures for HeroClix are not that much different than the figs that you.
No, they're not only that, but depending, some of them are worth a little bit of money, but they're great for crafting and repurposing.
That is the goal. Me and her probably got about 15 of them. She knows how to get the paint off, and me and
acetone.
Her. What?
Acetone.
That's what she said, and I just smile and nod because my daughter's smarter than me when it comes to certain things. And we are going to redo these miniatures in ways that fits what we want to do with them.
Sounds.
I don't know what that's going to turn out to be.
I wouldn't even worry about it. There's a YouTuber. There's several YouTubers. There's one YouTuber I really used to watch a lot, but he went full TDS on me, and I'm like, okay, we're done. But there's a lot of crafters and painters and miniature guys out there that will show you all kinds of things you can do with HeroClix, and heck, we use Army Men from time to time and things like that. The I don't know if you've ever seen the if you go to like Mulligan's or any of those arcades where they've got skee ball and you can win prizes, and they sometimes have those big like skeleton Army Men. We bought a huge bag of those for a bunch of different things, but we'll buy those and sometimes other like toy like Army Men figures and use them for different crafts. But HeroClix are pretty close to, I want to say 30 mil miniatures, maybe 28s, but it depends if there's, once you take the paint off them and reprime them, etc. Just make sure they don't have like the red circle around the bottom, by their name.
No.
The red ones are like rares.
Yeah, with it being your daughter, I suspect it'll be Dante's final level of hell.
Actually, my daughter's fairly clever when it comes to this shit.
Apparently, she's secretly watching our channel behind your back. That's what it is, isn't it? Just agree.
No, she takes after her mom. Her mom does awesome with this arts and crafts. I just,
cool.
Anything.
Hey, you know what? Don't knock it. You know what? Anybody can do it. Not only can anybody do it, but most people who actually try it for the first time find out that they wish they've been doing it, dang near all their life.
Oh yeah, don't get wrong. I have fun painting the figures I get for myself, but she's awesome at it.
Don't discourage it, and do what you can to encourage it. And before you know it, she'll be making you. Hey, Omen, what's happening? And before you know it, she'll be, doing this kind of thing with the best of us.
Hell, if she starts at this age and keeps it going, she'll probably be better than most of us.
Man, her favorite thing to do is go get Barbies, right? And just tear the freaking thing apart and put it back together the way that she thinks it's, she'll like dye the hair. She'll do whatever she does to the Barbie dolls or just dolls in general, and they normally look 10 times better. She's been doing that for like the last 2 or 3 years.
You know what? There's actually a pretty big community of people who do stuff like that. I used to have an ex a long time ago that would do stuff like that. There's also a community that turn dolls and things like that into like superhero action figures, but 12-inch size or whatever the scale is. I don't know, but I've seen some. There's some out there that I'm like, wow, if that was in a package, I know some superhero fans that would, male and female, that would pick that up in a heartbeat.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you could get her to work on more generic dolls from the start so she can't get in trouble for copyrights, you could actually see about having her have an Etsy store for those things and see about her already starting to earn a living.
I'll see what I can do. As of right now, she's either tearing apart old Barbie dolls that were like at Goodwill, or what's the other one? Bratz?
Oh,
yeah, that's a common one.
And Monster High.
It was meant to be those Bratz and I think Bratz and Monster High are technically in the same company. Don't quote me on that, but either way, they're both meant to be competition for Barbie.
Well, everybody needs competition.
I every time I pass those things, I just shake my head because I'm like, yeah, that's one of the things that's wrong with the world.
Barbie?
They're just a little too slutty looking.
Like, okay, I'll let you slide on that one. I'm saving all my vinegar for somebody else.
I can only imagine. I'm going to be absent that day from school, teacher. I'm not doing any of that. I'm so over it and so tired of it. It's we came here to make friends and do the hobbies and stuff, not to go to war with, people who I'll probably never meet, when I could actually be worrying about trying to meet the people that, like you guys, one of these days, if I can't find a way to meet you guys in person, then I failed at the game of life. I was watching Venger Satanis talk about his VengerCon 3, and I'm like, I'm not going to be flying anytime soon, especially with mask mandates coming back. Like they can pee up a rope, go fuck themselves. I'm not doing that. And taking a bus ride across country, I've done that from Virginia to California. I don't look forward to doing that again.
Man,
but
I've heard from several people, if you can, travel by train.
Yeah, I've done both, and Greyhound and Amtrak, and I'd rather actually go Greyhound, because the difference, Amtrak is kind of like super freaking expensive, and you might as well fly sometimes. But maybe things have changed. Last time I needed to go somewhere, it was literally more expensive than flying.
I
don't like flying to begin with. But
looking at it wrong, I'm doing this to make friends. I'm finding other like-minded people who wants to barb, to tilt, to steel sharpen steel.
I'm not sure I follow you, but okay.
I want to find the debate team for nerds.
Be careful with me then.
Huh.
Like I would not call myself a debater, because I try to avoid conflict. But when I'm passionate about something, apparently I've been told you can't debate with me.
Well, that's fair.
Like I said, word for word, after we got into an argument about medieval weapons and how I think it's the big axe, the big spear length axe could chop somebody's head right in half, almost in half. Chop right through a helmet. And said they were arguing with me that it couldn't do that. I literally said word for word, all right, research your medieval weapons and then get back to me. That's all I said. And apparently that makes me unarguable or debatable.
Debatable.
That just makes the other person lazy.
Well, that, or they want an answer now, and if you don't have it, that means you can't do it. Like, no, it just means you're not ready for this impromptu freaking, world-class debate that has to happen now. Normally people get a little bit of notice before they go into a debate. So how about that? You want to come back at me later, bro?
Oh, that's exactly what I did, because one of the people who they did trust with this kind of information came by and said, hey, that particular axe there, it could cleave someone's skull right through the helmet, right? Yes, it could.
No,
again, I honestly, I don't know. I mean, I've never used one. And what do you mean cleave through the skull? Like one shot?
Well, it's what the axe was. It's what the axe was literally designed to do.
I was about to say,
it was meant for headshots.
Hey, real quick. Hey, Tom, sorry I didn't call you back. I've been super busy, and I wanted to call you back Monday, because then I know we can actually talk for more than 5 minutes. For those of you who don't know, Tom Dye is one of the great guys in the miniature world. We had an interview show a week ago, I believe it was, where we talked about the origins of the hobby, and Dungeons and Dragons and miniature wargaming and all that stuff. So let's have a round of applause for Tom Dye. He's trust me, he's a legend in the industry.
God, I hope you're clapping your hands.
Yes.
Why am I like the only one on camera? You guys suck.
I'm on camera because it's hot where I am, and if I put down my sheet, well, it's either you see a dirty shed or you see my sheet. Put down my sheet, I'd have to barbecue because I wouldn't be having my fan on me anymore. If you don't mind a dirty shed, I'll turn my camera on.
Well, normally Connell is like, at least he's on camera. And Grandma says that weapon would cleave the head. The helmet? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Metal through metal.
Depends. Okay, there's two different factors you're looking at. What kind of metal is the helmet made out of compared to what kind of metal is the axe made out of? If let's say you have a, I don't know, a copper head. See, there goes Shadow. Now he's scared. A copper helmet, and you have a bronze sword. The bronze is going to cut through the copper. Modern age steel. Modern age. The key word is that one. Modern age steel is not what they had back then. They had iron. They had that's.
But I'm talking about the axe that's on the spear long pole. So you have even doesn't matter what metal it's made out of. You have great momentum with it.
Oh yeah, I mean, if an axe can cut wood, it can go through somebody's neck and bone without much thought behind it. Oh God, what is that thing called? It's called a
halberd.
Yes, that would be it.
Sure, that's a pole axe, so to speak, and
aka horse choppers.
Right. But I mean, here's the thing. If the head and helmet are just sitting still for the test, that's way different than someone's wearing it and avoiding it, and you actually getting the opportunity to swing it overhand style to get the most force and momentum out of it to come down on someone's head. Good freaking luck.
Well, that literally falls under the category of spears in battles. It usually got used at the beginning of the battle and then dropped for a more conventional weapon.
Right, or pikes or things like that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I personally, if I was in battle and my needs weren't the way they were, and this was medieval time, I think I would pick a war pick over damn near anything else because that pick would puncture most armor.
Well, that's what it was designed for. And what did Tom say just a second ago here? My thing's acting weird.
Yeah, my icon I was trying to use was going to be the Blues Brothers saying, "I hate Illinois Nazis." But it just cut off hate and Nazis and leaves Illinois. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Right. Tom says there were lots of recorded instances of that Warhammer going through helmets like they were made of cheese.
I believe it. I believe it. I would show my ugly mug, but I'm laying down in bed. I got a headache from hell. No one needs to see my fugly face.
A lot of headaches going around these days. I wonder if it's a thing.
Whether
where I am, it's easy to understand. Well, where I am, it's the smoke. I'm in North Idaho, so we got a lot of smoke up here.
Oh,
from Canada?
Yeah, mostly Canada.
You guys still dealing with Canada's campfire?
Yeah, pretty much.
Man, Smokey the Bear needs to retire.
With that said, if Canada's our hair is currently on fire.
That sucks.
No. This was probably about a month ago. I don't know, when it was really, really bad. I walked outside and it looked like the beginning of one of those apocalyptic style movies. The sky was this weird neon yellow color, I was told.
Oh,
it was kind of funky.
Yeah, we get that in July.
Just imagine if you've seen that, you were like high on particular substances.
What movie am I thinking about? The Night of the Comet?
Could be. Although we've been really lucky, we haven't had any brush fires here in a couple of years. But normally, right around Jackie's birthday in July, the smoke here. I mean, you can literally cut it with a knife. But fortunately, it never comes over the mountains off to the west here, and it just never comes over the mountain. Otherwise, it would just mess us up. What's up, Colonel Kronk? Welcome to the show.
Yeah, hey, Colonel Kronk, we aren't Canada's pants. We're Canada's shirt. Mexico is the pants.
If Mexico is Canada's pants, that makes Florida Canada's shit pot.
I thought Canada was America's toque, but
I don't know. If you ever want to take,
I don't know. I'm going too deep into this, honestly.
Well, because you guys showed off what you had to show off, and I showed what I'm doing. I am going to be assembling some more miniatures over the next week, and primering them. I still need to primer the tank I start off. I look forward to seeing, more of your assembly line process there, TCG, and getting that stuff done, because I still have a ton of that box set to finish, but some of it, like the bugs and some of the other things Jackie really wanted to do. So I'm like, okay, I'll put them in a box, feed of paint, and they're still sitting there on the floor, waiting to be painted. And I can't, if I grab and paint them, he's going to get bummed out. And I've got plenty of other stuff to paint.
He really needs to get his girlfriend.
First, he needs to actually have some hormones.
Yeah, he's pretty bereft of them at the moment, which, to be honest, his best friend who's staying with us is 17. Also, decent looking kid, never had a girlfriend, and things are different from when we were kids. When I was 14, I was dating a senior. Nowadays, nobody's dating anybody. Well, that's not entirely true, but it's a lot different than it was when we were kids.
Yeah, that's right.
Grandma's got something interesting here. She says they still can't figure out the process used on a sword recovered in China that should have been a mess based on an age and conditions of archaeological sites, but it's absolutely beautiful, in absolutely beautiful shape.
Oh yeah, I remember hearing about that.
I feel like
mention the Akhenaten's dagger, made out of materials that just didn't exist back then. So yeah, there's crap tons of metallurgic mysteries to be solved from back then. I wouldn't be surprised to see firearms from pre-Younger Dryas era. Anything is possible.
I kind of want to quote that guy from Alien History. No, I'm not saying it's aliens. I'm just saying it's aliens.
Oh yeah, that part. He always says that. Yeah, I'm waiting for the day they prove A, Atlantis existed, and B, Atlantis has iron or even steel, which would put them centuries above everybody else at that time.
I think my favorite Atlantis legend, it was the remainings of it's basically Cuba.
Huh. That'd be interesting. Don't know if it's true, but it would be interesting.
Yeah, well, yeah.
I have my own theories, but jury's still out on that.
It's a great big spaceship in the bottom of the ocean that the ancients came down on, and we just need a pucky group of 4 people to find a gate that has a water surface in the middle, something like that.
Yeah, I hated that show.
I love that show.
I love the movie, but
sorry. I love that show up till the point I discovered who Captain Shepard was supposed to be from the movie, because I did not correlate those two characters at all because they are so polar opposites. As soon as I found out he was supposed to be the same Colonel from the movie, I instantaneously hated that show.
Right.
Because the Colonel from the movie was the way he was for a reason. And taking that 180 in personality is just, no, that wouldn't happen.
Yep.
Right. Kurt Russell's character got taken up by
Tom. That's one I like, but like I said, the jury's still out on Atlantis.
Speaking of the
other shows lost their luster.
Speaking of Stargate and all things Gate related, here pretty soon on Table Breakers, Baron is going to be running us through a one-shot Stargate campaign, I believe.
Yes, he is. I'll play along, see what he's got to, what it's got to offer. But, I'm not a big fan of one shots unless they lead to something else. Otherwise, for 4 hours, I'd rather be, in the beginning of a campaign that's going to go somewhere, let alone playing a game that, I'm not a huge fan of, or a genre, or an IP.
Hey, at least it's not fantasy.
Well, admittedly, I'm planning.
There is that.
Knocking my headphones off. I am planning the thing with Table Breakers to be a one-shot this time.
Mm-hmm.
Not knowing if Table Breakers is going to have me on more than just once. But if the Table Breakers decides to have me on, like, oh, well, we're going to make you a regular part of our repertoire, it'll probably be that game in particular that'll be just running basically a long term, almost like we're having a campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You know whose game I want to jump back to over everybody else's? And this is nothing personal towards the rest of the table breakers. But Kai, I could spend like 4 more weeks in Kai's world. That was just fun.
Hey,
I need to keep my mouth shut because Kai's already got plans.
I got to be president, so sure, bring it.
I mean, granted, I was serving everybody pie in mine. I don't know what the big deal was.
Well, you know what the problem is. The pies were filled with children, and in today's real world, there's enough of that already going on.
Yeah. I actually didn't catch that because I wasn't watching Table Breakers when you did that.
I was responsible. I am responsible for that nonsense. No, it was my turn to run a one shot, and it was Christmas time, so I figured I'd do a Eastern European style Christmas story.
Yeah.
So that's what I did. It had Baba Yaga in it. It had Krampus. And
no problem, Tom. We'll be here for another 24 minutes, Tom.
That's all right. The next one I got planned is with the same group of people. And the title of this, if you can imagine your 1950s or 40s with like a Tarzan theme cover on top of it, called Escape from Alcatraz.
That could be interesting.
Escape from Cracatraz.
Alcatraz.
No, I'm saying I thought it would be.
Oh, no. Yeah, no. I mean, I thought about it too, but yeah, no. Not DM James. Ominow helped me with the idea of it. And, I'm kind of there with you, Shadow. I hate one shot. So I figure whenever it's my turn to run, I will just, every one shot's going to be like a comic book with the same people. It's just going to be one of those weird mystery, weird science. The old, what's the word for it? Comic books from back in the day. Before they were all serialized. They're just a one-shot wonder to comic books with your favorite
like
hero.
weird tales and that sort of thing. Sure.
Yeah.
The game I'll be running is going to be a Western, and I'll be using the Traveler game system again to make it as easy as possible. And I'll have you guys roll up some characters, and definitely Pulp, Colonel Kronk. Anything that's reminiscent of anything pulpy, I want in.
I mean, I'm sorry you don't like the system. I really am sorry you don't like the system, but it's the most comfortable. It's the system most comfortable running for that short time period. That won't take us 3 weeks to make one character with like Pathfinder.
Twilight Traveler, you can make up your character in about an hour and be ready to go. With the Western characters,
I might try. The next time around I do this, I might try Traveler.
It's such an easy. Not only is it an easy system, but in rolling up the character, as you remember, you actually roll up the backstory. With each, couple of rolls, you're building the backstory, and you can equate where you got the skill that particular skill or benefit from that term to. Part of the story. During this tour of duty, I did this and I learned this, and then I did another term and I learned this and I learned that, and I got these benefits along the way. And next thing you know, your character's built. And the other thing I like about it because it's a skill-based system, you get the feeling that you're not a rookie, not the rat catcher again. The farm boy with a scythe, a couple of nails, a couple of torches, and you're dead broke, and you're a loser, and maybe you might be a hero someday, but you're not now. When you roll up a Traveler character, you can decide just how much of a big damn hero you are just by rolling it up and everybody still ends up being, sort of balanced for the party. You don't have these, super powerful characters with these greenhorns all trying to, make the adventure roll off, and one character, takes a certain amount of damage and they're wiped off the playing field, but a couple other characters are still there because they just brush it off like it's no big deal. Everybody's just as vulnerable regardless of who they are for the most part, but yet they can all choose exactly what kind of character you want to run. I always use the Star Wars reference. You can run the farm boy, you can run the seasoned smuggler, or you can run the ancient Jedi master, and they all, if they take a bullet to the chest, they're going down and game over for the most part. You get to choose, but yet they're all relatively the same kind of, let's just call it hit points.
Yeah. So Shadow,
for the
since
game.
we're talking about since we're talking about games or character creation, what do you think? Have you had a chance to really look at the characters and character creation?
I have not. What I need is maybe for you to send me everything through an email, because depending on where I'm at the time I get something on Discord, I might not be able to download it, and then it gets buried, and then I forget about it, and then I got to go back and search for it, and I don't know exactly what I'm searching for, especially on Gatekeepers. There's so many different tabs on Gatekeepers, whereas Table Breakers, it's just one long continuous thread, and I just got to scroll through weeks of memes and conversations to find what I'm looking for. But I'll get you my email address.
Okay. Well, I kind of figured I'd have to do something kind of like that, where Connell's already said he A, doesn't know, and B, hasn't delved too deep into characters or character creation. But I have sneaky suspicion, after I put him in so early, I had a sneaky suspicion later on. I was like, yeah, I'm probably going to have to talk to them individually, say, what characters did you want? And then email those or email or Discord them direct those particular characters. I know for a fact Kai wants the swordsman. And Bruce said he already made up his mind, but I don't know what he wants.
All right, sorry about that.
Hey, it's that guy.
Don't worry,
You're busy.
Had to talk about my boy behind his back. So
And it's not like he's watching the show, right?
No, he's probably went around doing something else. Trying to get him to play a role-playing game. No, everyone said all my loves. The only thing I can get him to do is play board games that take 5 minutes to learn the rules. So and Legos. Everyone loves Legos.
If you don't, there's something wrong with you. Speaking of which, check this out. I happened upon a toy and comic book store. Mind you, they don't have the new comics. It's just a bunch of old stuff. But it's kind of a cool little eclectic, old school toy and comic shop, right? And right over the register, they have a Toys R Us sign taken from the local Toys R Us. That was a quarter of a block from where this toy shop was. And when they closed down the Toys R Us, we were all heartbroken, because Jackie and I used to go every weekend just to check out the new Legos. And they had events at the Toys R Us that we would take into and do that. And when they tore the place down, they were just going to toss the sign. And the guy who owns the shop just went and just walked off with it. Nobody cared. And it's this 12-foot long Toys R Us sign that's right above the register. And with all the other, bits of Americana that's strewn throughout the store, including, video game machines that you can come in and play, and old action figures, and bobbleheads, and all kinds of weird stuff from all kinds of different, things. There's a Harry Potter room and an Indiana
That makes
Jones
it worth almost
room.
moving to California. Almost.
It's a tiny little shop.
I'm telling you,
it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside, but it was a nice little shop, and they were really nice to me. And hopefully, we're going to go in with the camera and interview the owner and just do a little, walk around and help them out and just show some of the things that should still be around more. There really should be more, shops like that with, showing the things, because, every day more and more kids grow up not even knowing the toys are a thing. They get a screen in front of them, and that's their sole source of entertainment. And I think that's an absolute crime. Kids need to have the ability to play with things with their freaking hands and not just push buttons and hit like buttons.
Yeah, the problem is when you do stuff like problem that can arise with the amount of electronics and toys is when you have like my niece and nephews. Mostly my nephews, they don't play with their toys. They get toys, but they don't play with them. They always want to be on electronics. The moment you touch their toys, they're like, "Oh my god!" and I got to play with them. So you don't throw them away.
Well, here's the other part: is a lot of times people get toys and they don't interact with other kids to play with them. And because I remember doing this, I was an only child. Is a lot of times it's like it's not that much fun if it's just by yourself. Now, so I think there's that social aspect to them as well. I will say this much: is the best thing I ever bought my son when he was 1 year old were a bunch of Mega Blocks from Target, which are giant. They're like Duplo size or like this. Yeah. He was still playing with them when he was 12.
And here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Growing up, I'm turning 40 here. Here in a couple days. When I was growing up, here was the hot cartoons: G.I. Joe, He-Man, Ninja Turtles, Power Rangers was on its way down the road, not that far down the road. But these cartoons were a 30-minute commercial for toys that they had at Toys R Us. We don't have Saturday morning cartoons anymore. The cartoons that do show on half-day channels are a freaking joke. So why would a kid who has no idea where the toy came from because he's not watching that 30-minute, 45-minute commercial have any interest in that?
I'm going to say this.
When it comes to toys, sorry, but I want to say this. When it comes to toys, I know for a fact Shadow will understand when I say this. What was my favorite toy growing up? Dirt. And I was happy.
Oh, dirt?
well, you know what? I was joking with my friends because he was trying to buy something for his nephew, which was 2 years old. I said, their favorite toys are boxes, right? You don't need that. But if you actually look at it, kids like to use the big motor skills that they have, and that's why I said, "Is my son likes doing the blocks?" I mean, he would sit there and say, "Daddy, can you build Legos? It would take me 2 hours to build the Legos." And then he looks over, and he grabs the Legos and he pushes them off the table onto the floor and watches them shatter.
That means your kid's more cat than it is human.
I just went. I was just like, what are you doing? So
I had a similar experience with Jackie. You guys probably don't remember, but maybe some of you remember Bionicle. But what came after Bionicle was this thing called Hero Factory,
right?
And that was a brand new thing for him, and he had just so much fun with those things. And then I started buying him some Bionicle off of eBay, and he could mix and match and do all this stuff. And he had literally everything they made, right? And one day I came home and he had tore apart a whole bunch of the things, like the bigger vehicle sets that were like, kind of like a pain in the ass to put together for him, so he could play with the airship and stuff like that. And I came home and everything was just tore apart, and it wasn't long. A couple of days later or something, he ended up going to Mexico for like 2 weeks. It was just me here all by myself. So I'm like, all right, where's the instructions? And I put everything back together. Pristine, perfect, because we keep all the instructions, all the boxes, still have all that stuff. And when he came home, everything was just lined up in pristine condition. And the look on his face was just like, he was so freaking just absolutely overjoyed. And he played with those until he was like 10 or 11 years old. I remember there was a birthday came around and we got him some Legos, and they never even got opened. They're still in a closet, still unopened, because he just like overnight just like Legos are done. Just all right, well, we've got them all boxed up. You ever want to sell them? You can get like 4 times the price for them now. Yep, we had that too. We used those for
I have both, but this is what gets me. This is what he plays with. He plays playing with the bigger ones rather than the actual Legos. And part of it is he wants those big muscle movements because he will shake. And I bought 3 of them, to be fair. I bought 3 of these bags. He would shake them, and they would be going like this. They still wouldn't fall off. Yeah, it was awesome.
I started with plastic Legos and have moved on to paper Legos.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
We used to play this game called Giant Monster Rampage. It's a war game, but designed to be used with action figures and toy dinosaurs and stuff like that. But part of the rules for the game was like buildings that your monster would like smash, and X number of damage would equal, X number of big Duplo blocks that would fall and collapse off the buildings. So those were perfect for, making skyscrapers and stuff like that. And we actually got a call from a designer of, I think it was that game, but he made a new game, which is more based on like using action figures. So you could like do battle with your Power Rangers, but it was, use dice and everything. And we're supposed to do a review of that. And I'm like, fat chance. There's no way he's going to break out his action figures and want to put them on the table and do that, play test for this guy. Even though like 2 years ago, we would have done that like all day long during vacation. That's all we would have done. And now he's busy on his computer doing his animation stuff. And, he's got, every toy he ever had is still in like, really, 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 really good condition. And speak of the devil, over here.
Why would you want to do that? That guy's really gay.
Who?
I don't. Once again, don't.
Jackie, you use that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
No, like, the devil is literally gay.
That means he's happy.
Technically, he is an angel, therefore he is sexless. So therefore he cannot be gay. He's a Ken doll.
That in itself is gay. I rest my case.
Oh yeah. Well,
where's my alcohol? I need to start up that gay drinking game.
Well, at the end of the day, my whole thing is that it reminds me of the Black Monks on Blackadder.
Yeah.
Never saw it.
Oh,
you really need to watch it.
Well, we'll have to send you the clip. I'll have to send you the clip of the Black Monk for Blackadder. It's hilarious because he's like,
this weekend alone, I was given 10 different YouTube clips, video shows from people over to Nathan, the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen. It's like, oh, you got to watch this. You got to watch that. And I'm like, I don't have time to watch shit. Except Salty Cracker first thing in the morning, Mark Dice first thing in the morning, maybe a couple other videos, and then I'm off to doing other stuff. So that's where I get my news.
Did you watch the movie?
Faculty?
Yeah.
No, of course not. We didn't do the show, therefore I didn't do I didn't watch the movie.
Well,
I will watch the movie.
We'll be reviewing it next week.
Oh, okay. That reminds me. I'll have to find it, but it's only like 3 minutes long. It's not like it's that long for some of these. So yes.
Shadow. Apparently, Connell likes himself more than I do, based on the choice of movie when I requested if I could have a special cameo on one of your guys' episodes. Well, I can't. Well,
okay.
Of course, I like me more than I like you. What kind of YouTuber do you think I am?
That isn't quite what I said, but yeah, I
agree. Grandma.
Do you?
On everything you just said, I agree. I didn't mean to, skip, but I believe in the sexual differences on strength stat between males and females. Abso-freaking-lutely. Or how they don't know how to play with that toy when we gave the kids at the school tops, and then explained you battle the tops. That changed everything. Did the same thing with marbles. Marbles were awesome. I was when I was a kid, I was there when they said you could no longer bring them to school because it's a form of gambling. And I'm like, it's not gambling, it's a game of skill, bitches.
I remember you did that with Magic the Gathering and Pokemon cards.
And Pog.
They didn't do that with Yu-Gi-Oh!, at least not in my district. And there were plenty of kids who bet their cards.
And yeah, well, yeah, because there was the ante in Magic the Gathering where you split your deck and you cut your cards, and whatever card you drew was the card you would lose if you lost the game, which was pretty messed up. And Grandma, because Ken was lame, she always wanted G.I. Joe. Everybody knows that.
Anyway, Shadow, have you ever seen the movies Joseph, King of Dreams, or Prince of Egypt from DreamWorks?
Nope.
The reason it's not that I'm telling you no, they're crappy. It's just those movies. I feel like
you like yourself too much, right?
No. See, I don't recommend us doing those type of movies in Easter, so I don't have to fucking watch 10 Commandments again.
We only had to do that once, and it was a good movie.
It's a fantastic movie. Jackie and I hadn't seen those movies since I was, like 5-6 years old, and I'll always be grateful for you to give me a reason to get Jackie to watch those movies. We all had a freaking blast watching them. So they were a little long, but they don't make movies like that anymore.
Well, let's be honest. I picked Ben-Hur. Shadow picked the 10 Commandments, and I thought you liked Ben-Hur there, Connell.
Oh, I didn't mind that one. It was the freaking 10 Commandments that made me want to drink myself into an unconscious state.
Yeah. That movie was awesome.
That movie was something.
Awesome. Actually, I've been listening to Jordan Peterson go over Exodus along with that group, and I feel really cheated that they didn't include a lot of the stuff that was about the plagues and things. Anyway, they only referenced it in
I'm making the pasta now, boo boo.
But it was pretty cool.
Hey, what's up, Cal? Hey, Cal, what are you working on? Get in here and tell us what you're working on or what you're going to be working on. I've been waiting for 2 hours for you, man. No, I know you're busy, but if you got a couple of minutes to spare, we would love to see what you're working on and what you're going to be doing next week, so that the next time I do the show-off show, you can show off again what you've done and what you're working on, because out of the four of us here, Cal is one of the best painters I've ever come across. So what do you think? Did I build you up enough? You got a couple minutes before we hit the road?
So, Connell, you were saying something about you said you wanted to watch them in Easter or not watch them in Easter. It's like I thought it was going to be
around Easter. I'd probably
that's what I suggested to begin with. Was your religious month?
Anytime, Cal. If you can't make it tonight, I'll either be doing this next week or the week after, and just bring some stuff, show it off, man.
Yeah, I think April is going to basically be, I don't want to say religious month, but definitely friendly.
Grandma Connell needs help. I don't know why he didn't like the movie. It's just weird.
I like it. Hey, I'm the guy who ruined Passion of the Christ for everybody at the movie theater by telling them how it ended.
What?
Right.
I'm going to say this much. My friends got angry at me because I was picking women up at the Passion of Christ. I was flirting with a bunch of girls out there, and he got mad at me. It's like, this is sacrilegious. I'm like, dude, you brought us here an hour early. What the hell else am I supposed to do?
How is that sacrilegious? Just tell him the Lord told me to go forth, be fruitful and multiply.
I don't know. You're right. I can't believe you ruined this movie for me, ma'am. How did I ruin the movie for you? I wasn't sure how it was going to end. Ma'am,
I'm calling bullshit. Nobody went to see that movie not knowing how it ended. Maybe not specifically, scene for scene, but everybody knew how the movie ended.
Wait. Let's think about this. In the Bible, it says he has, 2 or 3 very rough days. I'm not getting into the nitty-gritty of it. Then he gets crucified. Okay, how did the movie end? He gets captured by the Romans. He had a couple really, really bad days. He gets crucified.
The fact you gave that away reminds me, and I feel bad because this is how uncultured some people are. My friend went into the Lord of the Rings, the Fellowship of the Ring, and there was a lady who said, "That's how it ends." I'm like, yes, it's a trilogy, lady. Did you not like it anything?
So, speaking of Lord of the Rings,
Real quick. Cal, that was incredibly generous of you, but you're kind of getting to be known for your generosity. Because this schmo here also, I think, received something from you. Was it you? Did Cal send you something? Oh no, or was it Cal gave up his prize for you?
Yeah, he gave it was him or something else for the town folk, but yeah.
Spartacus was great too. I've never seen Hercules versus the Mole People and Jesus Christ Vampire Slayer. Double dare you guys. I would have to watch it without my
liver. I'm half tempted to start rating these movies by how many beers or shots I had to take to get through them. I almost started with 10 Commandments.
Hey, you keep that up, and I can guarantee I can get Jackie back on the show regularly just to watch you.
I'm not the one that turned him saying gay into a drinking game. That's not me.
Well, you know who he gets that from.
His mom?
No, Mr. Driscoll.
Oh God. Yeah. Well. You're supposed to be more of a control freak and not let him watch outside influence like that.
Yeah, well,
if he's going to start watching somebody that's an outside influence, he should be watching more of DM James, because at least then he'll come off as a better person.
Yeah, he was on a show with DM James a couple of weeks ago, just the two of them for a while. But
Yes, I am a prick. I get this about me. It's part of my charming personality. But no, going back to Lord of the Rings. The local game shop, they turned Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, and there's another one, I think Narnia, into a battle like Flames of War or bolt action type gaming.
Mm-hmm.
And Cal, I am sorry, but I gotta say this, Cal. I am ridiculously jealous. I have to wait and hopefully they'll still be on sale when I get a few bucks to buy at least one more, possibly two more boxes, because I got family members who really want miniatures out of that box, and I am not giving mine up.
I just want the Tarrasque.
Well, I want a Tarrasque too, but the Tarrasque is on sale online. And I have family members who would like miniatures before Christmas.
Let me rephrase this. I want a Tarrasque from Shadow that is pre-painted.
Oh.
My birthday is coming up, quite literally.
I'm sorry, but it's gonna be a real bleak birthday if that's what you're sitting on a hot stove waiting for. Mike won fair and square. The Tarrasque.
No, I don't want the non-painted version.
There's no way I could. Yeah, there's no way that's gonna happen. I'm not.
You have
I'm
three.
not handing over mine or Jack. Yeah, one's mine, one's Jackie's, one's Mike's.
Well, Jackie's gonna have a lonely Christmas. I got nothing. Anyways, going back to Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings. This got pointed out to me, and I thought this was kind of funny. This has been keeping my spirits high the last couple days. An American rating for movies, PG-13 movies can say one F-bomb.
Oh, Cal, I'm the crafting gamer.
Lord of the Rings, Fellowship, Two Towers, and Return of the King are all rated PG-13. Now, because of that, what scene would you have dropped the F-bomb? And more I think about it, has any scene with Gandalf, especially when he's yelling at Pippin or Merry?
No, my first thought was going straight to fly, you fucking fools.
Actually, you know what mine would be? Is when they go in the fields of Pelennor and they look out and see all the orcs.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
But each one of these movies get one F-bomb. One F-bomb.
Well, what's the other one? It's
In America.
Well, let's see. Let's see what the other one is. It's when Frodo gets stabbed by the troll.
Right.
That would be one.
Was it? Technically, the Harry Potter movies are rated PG-13 too.
You know what they could have done if they could just show boobs instead.
Thank you.
Wait,
Because,
wait.
I think it's kind of a
Before we go
ridiculous.
any further,
I think it's absolutely ridiculous. The word wouldn't exist in Middle Earth.
okay. For a second,
I don't think
was
Tolkien
wondering
ever
which
said
of the
the word.
franchises we were talking about. I got slightly nervous. I hopped over to Harry Potter, and next thing I hear, it would have been nice if they just showed one set of boobs. I'm like, wait, are we going back to Lord of the Rings? Or, I mean, McGonagall is kind of old, but I'm sure she was one hell of a feisty lady back in her youth.
Idaho, Cal.
Well, it was
McGonagall? Whatever.
I'm trying to think, which ones, Anyway, the whole point of it is that if you're going to add certain things in there, it's like the problem that I have with it is stop putting it in there just because. To be fair, did anyone watch On Golden Pond and not want to shoot themselves?
Which one?
No, because you know what? I might have seen it, but it was probably completely against my will.
It was completely against my will.
I'll buy that for $1 showing boobs in Harry Potter. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to derail everything, but the whole point was on Golden Pond they kept swearing so it wouldn't get a G rating, and it didn't add anything to the movie.
Wait, what? I'm sorry, I'm confused. What movie is this?
On Golden Pond.
I haven't seen that one.
Well,
Cal,
you know what?
I presume you
Don't
mean
ever
city.
watch it. I will save you a lot of time. But I was forced to go see it as a kid because what would happen? My parents like, oh, it's Peter Fonda and what was there was another famous I can't remember.
The news are done.
And I was like, and then I was there. It was the only movie I actually tried.
Put some butter.
So,
sorry, I have my daughter, and I'm trying to be a responsible father by.
As long as she doesn't catch the house on fire, you're okay.
No, finding something that 13-year-old girl would eat is always a trick.
You know what? It's the same thing with the boy. I just you can either eat what's there or you can starve. And it's amazing, and it works. Actually, to be fair, you know what he does? He makes mashed potatoes, he makes pasta, he makes yogurt and berries, and then he'll make sausage in the oven. That's about his. Oh, he'll make eggs too.
All right, Cal, sorry. I live in Sandpoint, Idaho. Apparently couldn't hear me talking. So unfortunately, I Omen, and no offense to Omen Owl, but Omen Owl and nobody here, but all three of you guys are real talkers. I've seen that, and I'm definitely the guy who, well, as I've said many times, not the most copacetic for internet because I have.
What the hell are you talking about? Omen Owl, a talker? No.
I have a bad habit of just sitting there in silence until somebody gives me a chance to talk.
You can't do that. You absolutely cannot do that, especially with shows like this. I mean, if there's a point to the show that Shadow is trying or anybody's doing, then yes, take your turn. Gatekeepers is a good example of that one. Take turns so that everybody speaks. But when it comes to this part of the show, Shadow will break in with any comments he wants. Omen Owl will, be Omen Owl. I'm a chucklehead, so I'll do anything for a few chuckles. So, yes, Mila? Son of... You don't need a pasta strainer. We're real people. We use our hands. Not like those freaking Italians.
You know what?
No, you grab it by the hand and you show the pasta who is boss.
No, that's gonna get pasta all over my hand.
Who doesn't want a little pasta water on your hands?
Don't you know the plate trick? Don't you know the plate trick?
Probably not.
You take the pot of water, you put a plate on top so it's nice and flush, and you tip it over in the sink, and the water will come out without the pasta.
Yeah, I've done that.
You know what I do is I just go grab some tongs. I just twirl them around until they just, then...
He just likes making more dishes for me to wash.
Oh.
I'm not even...
wow. Vanoni, don't watch On Golden Pond. I'm trying to help you out here. If you want to listen to me, then that's okay. If you don't want to listen to me, that's okay. But I don't want to hear you come back and go, well, I didn't listen to you and I got screwed. Well, that's your fault.
Yeah.
Cal,
I did that one time with my friends. I told them not to do something and I was laughing. And they're like, you're lying to me. You're lying to me. And I was just laughing the entire time. I said, go ahead and do it. Next day they came back and said, You son of a bitch! You were telling the truth.
Mother of
I told you I was telling the truth. It's not your fault that you didn't believe me.
Anyway, Cal, excuse me, there's 3 people. One, I almost didn't count my nephew because he's a bit young. His mom might not want him having a miniature. But my niece and my mother really want miniatures from those sets. And of course, they want some of the same miniatures. That's why I was thinking about getting 2 boxes.
I just want any miniatures that Shadow's willing to send that are pre-painted because, well, it's not that I'm lazy. I want something he's done.
Dude, you're the guy who sent your entire townsfolk set off to somebody else 8 freaking months ago.
I said done. Not El Dante, not slightly done. I mean done. Something that you took time and painted.
Yeah,
For full clarification, Cal, I've been talking about this.
One of these days.
This particular creature pack.
Yeah, I think that's the only one. Wait till you see the next Kickstarter. Holy crap, 400 miniatures.
If it's not out of my price tag, I want to see what's kickstarting now.
Are you getting Mantic? What is this? Oh, by the way, did anyone see that?
No, we don't have any.
There's a Kickstarter for Fire and Ice board game.
No. And I just watched that movie about 2 months ago. I really enjoyed it. I didn't think I was gonna, but I'm like, okay, I'm gonna watch it just to see because I couldn't remember shit from it. It had been so long, and I'm like, there was some scenes in there. I know it's rotoscope, which means it's animated over live stuff, people and situations and what have you. But I'm like, you know what? That still turned out really impressive.
I mean, I like it. I will say this much. I don't care what you are. There's no better scene than watching them go in with the pterodactyls as they go in for. I mean, it has the old classic World War II feel along, when they're flying the pterodactyls in and they're getting shot apart as they're trying to get into the center.
I was actually talking about. Remember the scene where the girl's hiding in the log?
Yes, and they have the big giant Gila or whatever monster come out. And, I love that.
That was the scene I was actually referring to when she's hiding and just the different angles and stuff. Not like the pervy angles, but her face and just it was like, it was rather impressive. Obviously less when you realize it was rotoscope, but still it came across very artistic.
Well, you say it's rotoscope, but it's only rotoscoping the people. They still had to do all the backgrounds. They still had to do all the monsters and everything else. So I thought it was a good use of how they did the. I'll be honest, is I was watching Avatar a couple weeks ago, and I on my 4K monitor here, and I went, it just looks like computer animation, and I'm like, you know what? As I kind of prefer the old style, I'd rather have the cell animation over computer animation in many cases.
It's a weird. I mean, I love the old 80s He-Man Masters of the Universe, and God, that was a shit pile of a movie. But the graphics was amazing. But at the same time, I keep holding my breath that somehow some non-Kevin Smith person out there will get a hold of the rights to He-Man and give me a He-Man movie with today's.
Did you watch the 2004 one? I haven't seen it, but I heard it was
the
really
cartoon.
Good.
Yeah, I wait 2004.
So you may not realize it, but they did the one in the 80s, but they came out with another one, I think in the 2000s, like 2004 or so, and everyone said that
early 2000s. Yeah.
They said that one was fantastic.
Oh, it was. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a happy marriage between still drawn and computer anime. But I want a live action He-Man movie.
Why do you want live action? That's the problem. I look at live action. It just drives up the cost. That's all I look at. It's like,
plus, the only person who could have played He-Man is now no longer in shape.
Oh.
He hasn't been shape in over a decade.
Dolph Lundgren?
No. Arnold Schwarzenegger.
That is my He. I hate to break it, but he will forever be my He-Man. He will never be my Punisher because, oh my God, that movie was a shit pile as well.
You know who was no? You know what is? I think Dolph Lundgren does a better job for physical. I'll tell you this much is because I met him at a Comic-Con here. Was Sam Jones? That guy's a big dude. I have a picture of him.
What's up, Hungar?
Sam Jones was the one that did. He did Flash Gordon.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about.
Okay, the guy was 60 years old, and this was 7 years ago or so. That guy is big, and I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm 6'2", and he's about 6'2", and you could just fit me inside of him, and you would never notice. He's a big. I don't mean he's fat. I mean he was in shape, definitely. And I said that guy would do really well, well in his prime, kind of thing. Not. That's the problem is you look at him now, it's like, well, this person, yeah, they're all 70, 75 years old now. It's not going to make anything. How old is it?
I'm seeing the new Expendables movie that's coming out. I've seen the first three. What's going to stop me from seeing the latest one?
I'm okay with that. I don't mind Sylvester. Sylvester Stallone is, the other thing is Sylvester Stallone is short, so it allows you to do a lot more with him.
Hey, 5'10" is not short.
What's that?
5'10" is not short.
I thought he was 5'7".
No, he's 5'10".
You sure? Let me go look.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I could be wrong, but the only reason I remember is because I'm 5'10", obviously.
Yeah.
Well, I think you are taller than me by 2 inches.
Okay, it says 5'10". I thought
I do the voiceover for Skeletor. I used to use it when reading my second son. You and Bruce Lombardo. Bruce Lombardo does a great Skeletor, as per the cartoon show back in the day. I was never a He-Man fan. Maybe it's because I just missed the age bracket, but to me, it was just,
Oh, man. It was the best. It went from a minor comic book. It came out with, first of all, it was a 30-minute commercial with a toy. The artwork was amazing for the comic book that came with some of the original toys.
I remember that, yeah.
It was everything a growing boy of the 80s needs.
Take care, Justin. We will see you in Hungar tomorrow. I'm about to close out the show. I'm going to let it go another 13, 12 minutes, and we'll end it the equivalent of 9 o'clock my time here. It is a school night, and I do have to get the little guy to take care of all of his last-minute things before bedtime.
But no, I look, I don't care about live action. I would rather everything be rotoscope again, or just do the cell animations. Because I think look at Gargoyles. Gargoyles, the animated series. I think.
Oh yeah, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. I don't want live action now. Of course, we're getting one, but I don't want. Well, the only benefit to the live action is all the original voices are coming back.
No, wait a minute. All the original voices. You mean? Well, if it's cartoon, you can bring all the voices back. If you're doing
yeah. It's going. Well, they're not going to put people in rubber suits. It's going to be, it's going to be one of the type of movies we get today. But from my understanding, all the original actors for the voice for the Gargoyles are coming back. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
for Gargoyles,
yeah.
Well, you know what? Well, here's my question: are they going to use the original guy or the guy? The creator, what was it, Greg something? Anyway, because they had him for the first 2 seasons and they kicked him off for the 3rd season, and you could tell it was crap by the 3rd season.
Oh, I have no idea.
No.
I never watched Gargoyles even once, and I was not a big fan of most of the people from Next Generation. So there's virtually no chance I'll probably ever watch it.
Actually, it's an excellent. The first 2 seasons are excellent. Because they tie in everything. It goes for 1,000 years. They tie in a lot of stuff for fantasy and things from the Shakespeare, and it's really cool. The first 2 seasons are great. It's the 3rd season. Do not watch.
I remember signing up for something I don't know. I had to send in a freaking postcard or something to tell them I was interested in the Gargoyles before it came on. I got like the box set of the first like 2 episodes. It was kind of like the Pizza Hut had the first 2 episodes of the X-Men cartoon, Night of the Sentinels, and whatever the next episode is called. Yeah, talk about another great cartoon series.
But no, I mean those are Gargoyles is probably right up there along with yeah. What I liked is in some of the ways they would kill characters off. They would do things as they came back. If you want to see all your classic D&D tropes within a modern era, it's in there. That's what I liked about Gargoyles. You want to go over, oh, look, you got a possessed weapon. Oh, look, you've got this. You've got people that come back from, 1,000 years that oh, you get to see this person. You get to see, oh, it's, but, well, a couple of the actors died, unfortunately, like Hudson.
Oh, yeah. Well, considering Hudson was played by, speaking of dying, the Price is Right guy, Bob Barker, died.
Yes, 99.
Yep.
He was
Good.
He was so close from going over.
Well, you know who amazed me was still alive. I know he's dead now, but was the one that played Grandpa Munster.
Is that guy?
No, he died, but I thought he was dead in the early 2000s. He was like 98 years old at the time.
A bunch of people thought Stan Lee was dead like 10 years before he died. No,
yes,
before the movies took off.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, Grandpa Munster. Let's see what was his. It was like, but that guy was all over. The other person that finally died was, but he was in everything. Was who was the guy? What was his name? He was in Airwolf.
No, the old guy.
Not Jan Michael Vincent, the guy that was behind him.
I never watched the show.
I remember the show barely.
No, but he's in if you look at all the movies he's been in, he's been like hundreds of movies almost. But yeah, it was. Let's see. So Al Lewis died. So the guy that played Grandpa Munster died at 82. Oh, it was the other one that I think. Maybe it was the. Anyway, it was one of them that lived up to like 90 something. Speaking of which, when we're talking about Lord of the Rings, Christopher Lee died at like 98 or 99. Did you ever watch? He was playing heavy metal into his 90s.
What do you mean? Musically?
Yes. He actually had his own songs and stuff of heavy metal, and he was playing them into his 80s and 90s.
I knew he originally wanted to play Gandalf, but they gave that to
Ian McKellen.
Yeah. Well, they were going to give that to the guy who played Dumbledore, and he's like, "No, no."
You talking about Richard Harris?
Yeah. The original we were going to give it to him, or was it the second one? I don't know.
Well, Richard Harris, that was. Well, they're all coming from the same thing, but yeah, Christopher Lee, I think did such a. I think he did such a better job as Saruman than he would have done as if he did.
Absolutely. I mean, he had played so many bad guys before. It's kind of a no-brainer.
Well, it's not just that. Just because he is so imposing with that voice and everything.
He was just a badass in real life. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah.
I didn't mean just he played bad guys in the real world too. Just saying.
Well, he fought bad guys.
I love that. There's a behind the scenes for one of it. I think it was for when he dies, and Peter Jackson's like, I want you to pretend that somebody's stabbing you back, and this is the noise that they make. He's like, no, this is really the noise that they make. I'm like, oh, that's kind of creepy.
He's not wrong though.
He's not. No, he's not. Well, what's funny was Peter Jackson originally went to Sean Connery to play Gandalf, and again, Sean Connery's like, I don't understand this part. I'm like, okay, Mr. Connery, we will find somebody else.
Mr. Connery, you played in Zardoz. How can you not understand?
If somebody,
oh come on, you know with the whole thing where he's over in here with the it's stuff that I would imagine that Justin wants to wear on screens at some point.
Don't encourage him.
I'm not. I'm just saying that just be aware.
Right. I just remember.
Sorry, went dormant. Cal and I are.
Who's the main actors? Cocaine addiction. Yeah, Jan Michael Vincent. Yeah, he liked to go and do a lot of skiing.
Yeah. Well, wasn't
Sorry, I
that
went
Michael
dormant.
Vincent?
Cal and I are sorry.
What was his
No
name?
worries, guys.
I'll find
Here's
it.
everyone. Great chat session. Thanks, Tom. I will call you tomorrow, hopefully by around lunchtime, so we can finish that conversation and see what progress has been made over the weekend.
Ernest Borgnine, that's who I was referring to. Ernest Borgnine was like all these different movies.
Oh yeah.
Sorry about going
First
silent
word
and dormant. Cal and I have been talking about those creature boxes, and I don't want to know. I don't know. I just don't want to know. I don't know how much he wants revealed, so I'm just going to say he and I have struck a deal, in which case I'm going to be way better off than if I had got them off eBay. And that's all I'm going to say.
Well, Cal's a great guy, and just make sure you do him right, whatever it is.
Oh, yeah.
And,
well, this part I'm willing to talk about. I'm already offering him a handmade leather dice bag.
Cool.
So many bad jokes. So many bad jokes.
Hey, I don't know if you can top this crafting. You see this dice bag?
Very nice.
It is, in fact, it's leather. You know where I got it? Anybody? You can't get them anymore.
Monkey Island?
Disneyland, right outside the Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh, wow.
Well,
man.
you know what? That makes sense. But ever since Disney decided to become politically correct,
Dude, I've had this thing for like 35 years.
I just
And it's
remember.
all the dice I own. That's it. All of them right here.
Wait a minute for Shadow.
I know. He's gonna bring over the freaking Santa sack full of freaking dice.
Do I need to bring my die that holds?
I have all my dice in my bag too.
That's like my bug out bag.
No.
I got
my
three
bug out bag is
dice,
bigger.
3 dice bags about this size scattered throughout my collection, and this thing is filled up to about here. And all my dice have about the same amount of dice. All my bags have about the same amount of dice in them.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
So I got nothing on Omen, but I do know the large dice collection.
Well, you have to realize I won a bunch from Goodman Games, and that makes
okay.
a big difference.
Really?
You won a lifetime supply of dice.
Right.
Well, I mean, they gave me 18 sets of dice, and if you ever look at the Goodman Games dice, where they have all the weird Zachi dice,
Oh yeah.
it adds up to a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was the first time in my life I ever felt that I had enough dice. So, okay, I'm good.
Well, to be fair, I kind of know that feeling. I went to Costco's a couple days ago and bought two 22 pack, 222 cases, 222 bottles of Oktoberfest. So I finally feel like I have enough for this week. Not that I'm a drinker or anything.
Well, I found a real taste for twisted tea as of late.
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, I like my liquor, but I got to be careful, otherwise it rips my stomach apart as of late.
I just found out that problem
Be careful, dude.
my daughter wanted me to make a beef pot roast last night. I'm like, not a big deal. She's like, would you put some paprika in it? I'm like, sure, I like paprika. I kind of put too much paprika in it. And it was a ass-burning experience this morning.
No, I've never had that. Someone actually...
You are a freaking... You're a rock star, dude.
I know.
Seriously, Cal, thank you. Like I said, I don't want to go too deep into it, but I have to say it again. I made off better with Cal, the deal Cal and I struck, than I would have ever had with eBay, period.
I mean, there's so many things I want to say, and I don't know Cal personally, but you keep showing up. I'm going to rag on you some. But that's all I love.
Hey, on Legion of Myths channel, he was showing off a picture, like a half behind, half side picture of a completely wokest Fatsy, and all I could say was, "That's not really my good side."
Oh.
Speaking of your good side,
with that, folks, I'm gonna have to call it a night. I have got to. I got stuff I gotta do. Get the little guy ready for school. It's 9 p.m. here my
Oh, this
time.
conversation is getting good. And
Hey, you guys, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay. No, you guys know the drill. When I shut the show down, if you guys want to keep chatting,
Colin, you can set up your own StreamYard right now, and
yeah, keep the party going. Cal, if you wanted to jump in real quick, I could put the link in, and then you guys could chat behind the scenes if you like. Here, let me just do that anyways, real quick.
I need to get past what's today. I need to get past Tuesday before I do any streams. What?
Because of your 20-hour limit?
No, because I have a landlord showing up on the 27th or whatever day the 29th, and I gotta make sure my apartment's up to snuff, or I might be out to the snuff.
Yeah. I need to clear out.
I would recommend getting your ass up and getting in gear and doing whatever you got to do, because you out on the streets during the wintertime. Yeah.
I'll be in a van under a bridge
down by the river,
which is highly possible here in Illinois.
I don't know if we're going to get a bunch of rain. We hate to see Connell float down, but the good news is I can pick him up somewhere in Louisiana.
Yeah, down here. All right, guys, have a great week. Have a great evening. Thank you guys for showing up. Next time, I expect to see some miniatures assembled, painted, or primered at the very least. And Cal, think about popping in next time, just to show off some stuff. And thanks for showing up, guys. This was fun.
Oh yeah, it always is. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Happy trails.
I got nothing.